Hello everybody! The goal of this course is to reach a whole perspective of the work inspections we must follow in a construction process in order to get the quality in building. That's the content of the course, but today's topic is going to be focused in horizontal finishings with gypsum coverings and also ceilings. I would like to remind the diamond circle principles and adapt these principles to the construction stage. We should think about the quality plan and the whole project management before start doing the construction, the worksite construction. Then it's time to check all the activities, and in case to find any failure or any damage, we have to make the non-conformity report. This document used to be joined with a corrective action or a preventive action in order to repair the failure or to prevent the non-repetition in the future of this damage. Right now, let's go to see the gypsum finishings in the horizontal finishings. First, we have to think about the preparatory and the materials reception. Think about the structure, facade, all the partitions, even if this is a brick wall or if it is a plasterboard wall, it doesn't matter. All the previous unit has to be finished, all the building services has to be completely placed, and right now it's time to start with the coverings. Then, when we are making the horizontal application, we have to stand the past with hands, because when we are spreading this, we can have any kind of problem on the fixation of the horizontal surface. In the first application, we have to cover the whole surface and try to fix the paste to the basis. In this case, we have a reinforced concrete structure, which is the inside face of our floor or our slab, and we are covering the whole surface with the gypsum paste. After to cover this, we have to apply this and just stand and just try to trimming and just cover the whole surface until we will keep the surface in a continuity. It's time to wet and just keep the moisturizing of our paste in order to have the continuity and the whole horizontality in the ceiling. If everything is fine, we have to be careful about where the building services are placed, because in some cases when we use this kind of cables, electrical cables, the difference of the temperature can have a pathology or a damage in our ceiling and just can have the failure of the electricity. Where the cable is placed, we are going to have not a good adherence, and we can finally just remove it and have this trouble. If everything is fine, it's okay, we can just continue and try to mind the position of the building services before to cover with this very thin final surfacing. In the case of ceilings, it's very easy because we have a camera in between the element and the final ceiling we are going to have in our stages. First of all, of course, we have to check the previous activities and the structure. If everything is finished, is well done, it's time to check and test all the building services. As you can see here, we have the heating and just cooling with this air conditioner system, also all the teleco, the telecommunications, electricity, water, fire system, and so on. All the building services have to run there, and we have to have enough camera. We have to lay out the position of our ceiling depending as much building services we are going to have in or not. Then it's time to start with the layout, where we are going to stake out with the profiles. We have to divide the whole surface that we are going to cover with the ceiling as the division of the final shape and sides of our panels. In the layout also we have to fix all these profiles, aluminum profiles, to the floor slab, to the resistant structure where we are going to fix the profiles, in order to be sure the structure is resistant enough to hold in its back side. Then in the layout also we have to check and test if the distance in between all the profiles are quite enough, are very well placed, and we have the right position of the panels, because we have only a small tolerance in between, like a millimeter, 1-2 millimeters maximum in between. That's the sufficient in place to move and just remove the panel in case of needed, but if not, the panel has to be completely finished, and if not, we can have the damage or the failure to have the panel down. Then in the layout also we have to mind and place the position where all the cooling and heating are going to extract and just have the spread and diffusers. In this picture we can see where the panel is fixed straight right in the position where the air conditioner is it. During the testing time we have to previous to cover the whole surfaces, the whole ceiling with the panels. We have to test it in order to be sure everything is okay and we have not any joint or any failure in the huge structure of the building service. Then it's time with the isolation. Sometimes the isolations are fixed directly to the structure, but in other cases are just in a sandwich panel or in a sub-layer in between the ceiling and the final panels. Here you can see these small panels with this micro perforation, and also we can see here the fiberglass that is going to be the isolation in this case. In other cases, as I told you, we can fix the roof wall directly to the structure in order to keep the high resistance and the maximum protection in the isolation, thermal and acoustic isolation in our building. In between the profiles we are covering the whole surface and we are keeping it in the right position. Then we have camera enough to pass all the building services, fire, alarms and all the building services in between and place it in the right position where behind the panels we are going to have it in the final finishing. In the cover also we have to mind the position of all the external building services and the point where it is going to be fixed, and just place the panel thinking about the distance in between the profiles. Once more in the covering we are going to fix the panels with a screw, the same like we made in the partitions with the plasterboard panels. But then we have to join and just cover these small places where the screws are fixed. Cover with different kind of panels and cover with even these steel pieces that are going to create a very longitudinal, a very nice surface, but also it has a breath and continuous movement of ventilation in between the building services. This is very nice to build it in because then we can run it and move it wherever we want it, and we have a very active and a very easy connection in order to have the maintenance of our building services. In the cover also sometimes we can make a continuity if the design of our project it is the requirement. In these cases we are going to cover it the same like we made in plasterboard walls, just fixing the panels with this screw, but we have to make a small windows or small places where we are going to have a register in order to keep the maintenance in the future of our building. In the cover also, when we are in wet areas, we have to be careful because in these places we used to have some of the units and the machines of our heating and cooling systems. In this case, the registration on these windows for maintenance has to be a little bit bigger and completely very well placed, where in the future workers can have all the repairments and all the maintenance of these machines. Also, one more, we have to cover with this elastic mastic all the position where the screws are fixed with the panels, and just make the final check, just covering all the screws, the joints in between the panels, and just make the final revision and just check if you have all the results from the test of our building services. If everything is fine, is okay, we can place all the panels in the right positions, make the final check. Also, in the case we have these wet areas where we are placing the cooling and heating systems, or also in the areas where we are using special panels for the acoustics and not reverberation in special areas like libraries or some places where we have an extra isolation in our final surface in our building inside. If everything is okay, if everything is final check, we can pass it and just give it as a good unit, well done, with the high quality of level. Thank you very much for your attention.